joining me this afternoon. I'm Phan with Trang and my student ID is 17047403. I'm here today to talk about the regulatory failures prior to the global financial crisis by performing a close analysis in the case of HBOS. My presentation will be covering four main points: the introduction, the risk HBOS 1, regulatory failures, and the final one is lesson and the recommendation. First of all, SBOS was formed in 2001 after an agreement of £28 billion merger between Halifax and Bank of Scotland. Why Bank of Scotland established in 1695 is the Scotland oldest bank and also one of the first bank in the UK. Halifax used to be operated as a building society after demutualizing in 1997. And another crucial point about HBOS is that just prior to the global financial crisis, with the market share of 20% and the bank balance of 400 billion, it's the biggest retail mortgage lender in the UK. However, it's heavily relied on the wholesale funding. It also used the wholesale funding to hold a quite large amount of mortgage-backed security and collateralized debt obligation. This figure was clearly shown in the annual report of SBOS. And in the next part, I will share with you the two risks: that's credit risk and liquidity risk that SBOS faced during the crisis. I use the figure of delinquency rate and the foreclosure to mention about the liquidity. As you can see, the period from mid-2005 and July 2008 witnessed a significant increase in the delinquency rate from 5.6% to above 21%. And when looking at the foreclosure during 2007, while just 1.3 million property were foreclosed, this figure kept expanding in 2008 and 2009 to 2.3 million and 2.9 million. And before having been taken over by the Lloyds, the probability of default of HBOS also rose noticeably. And during the crisis, this figure reached the peak at 60%. And it's clearly that when HBOS cannot get the mortgage payment and also foreclose too many property, that's difficult to liquidate because of the period crisis. It will cause the liquidity risk. At that time, although SBOS have 60 billion liquidity asset pool, this figure seems ineffective because they cannot sell or even raise funds. However, there was an outflow of customer deposits in this bank around 30 to 35 billion, mainly from non-financial institutions and large companies. So as you can see, the loan-to-deposit ratio of HBOS also rose greatly, and compared with other banks at that time, it's also reached a peak at over 200% because of the liquidity risk. And the interbank lending also increased at that time, so most of banks will refuse to lend each other, which would put HBOS more liquidity problem relating to the liquidity. And mentioning to the case of HBOS, the root cause of the collapse is poor governance, not the regulatory failures. However, I will show some flaws in regulation that's contributed to the collapse of HBOS. Firstly, the FSA approach to supervise HBOS not only put great reliance on HBOS senior management, but also dismissed a comprehensive assessment of HBOS effectiveness. However, HBOS board showed the lack of experience, banking experience, and expertise in core risk activity. Therefore, when FSA relied on each HBOS board, it cannot have a efficient supervision. And furthermore, the second strong regulation supervision of FSA that is regulatory approach, which is about taking. So many regulations were undertaken at the lower level, and the FSA also lack of day-to-day supervision to the HBOS. So many reports say that it provide less help to save the HBOS because they ignore the red flags. And the FSA also took less attendance of liquidity. They also think that the wholesale market is stable and they could even dry up. So they just focus more on the capital rather than the liquidity. And another point I want to show that the international umbrella for bank regulation, the first Basel was implemented to provide a capital required standard. However, it states as a core set of rules because it allows banks to trade the assets with the same risk class while still remain compliant with the required capital. So it's called the regulatory arbitrage. And the last point is about the governance warranty. Like deposit insurance or too big to fail is called the more excessive risk-taking incentive in the banks. So it could invest more in the risky instrument and investment. After the HBOS debacle, many lessons and recommendations have been appreciated. However, I would like to recommend some points for regulators and institutions. For a regulator, they should always seriously question themselves, their approach, as well as the condition of the institution they supervise. They never are allowed to do box ticking. They have to establish and exercise adequate tools to supervise each individual institution, and the government never put the whole power and task in one supervisor like FSA, because FSA was supervised for most of all banks in the economy, and they also were paid by individual banks instead of the government. And for institution, they must have a good internal governance who will create a strategy and the business model for the institution and avoid diversified policy, which means when they invest in the area they not good at or not have much knowledge, they should take into account many factors to make sure that they to avoid the competitive advantages in the market. That's all about my presentation. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for I think your slide design is very beautiful, very professional, and also in terms of the content, I think you adequately answer your research question, the requirement of the topic. Firstly, you mentioned about the situation of HBOS, and then you discussed about the rules of India is very new to the rules of FSA. So can you say something about the thinking box as you mentioned?
Yes, the thinking box here means the thinking box I mentioned here means many regulations were undertaken at low level because FSA rely on the HBOS senior management to make sure that the risks at this bank were measured and also controlled. However, they didn't realize that's the weakness in the HBOS senior management. And so they lack of day-to-day supervision.
So, why did I use box thinking? Box thinking, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Good afternoon.